Hi, I'm Mark Olson. I live in La Quinta, California. My wife, Marde. I was a trial attorney with a firm in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota for about 43 years. I teach and run several fellowship groups. I write a daily devotional that gets published about once a month. And I help our local area leader with his board of advisors. In the life of relationships, sometimes they don't go the way you want, and sometimes you're looking for changes. About a year and a half ago, I kind of thought that that's where we were. I talked it over with my wife, and we decided to look elsewhere. I had a couple of names from friends that were on the interview list. Thought of Greg because of knowing him through our church, where he and I were both members. He and I had been in a Bible study together. In fact, I was baptized at Greg and Monica's house. What struck me in my interview with Greg was he listened. He asked open-ended questions, which we trial lawyers always like to get people to answer. But when I would give him the information I had, he would listen. He was genuinely interested in what my issues were, what I was looking for. That was first and foremost. Second, he cared. He really cared about where I was, what was going on. When I told him one of the reasons why we were moving away was because I thought that our prior financial advisor had lost interest, that probably wasn't paying attention to my wife's and our interests at his firm. And then we were kind of like a second-hand citizen there. Greg spoke to that. Coming in, I thought that I would get a hard sell from numbers, a strategy and tactics point of view, in terms of performance, whatever it was, more on the technical side. I didn't get that. I didn't need it, or it wasn't on the top of my list, but I expected it because that's what had happened in other places when I'd interviewed people. But instead I got the personal touch. I got the sense that I mattered. Over the last 18 months or so that I've been at Solis, there have been a large focus has been on the short term in terms of getting our feet on the ground, figuring out how this all works, how we work together, what our needs are, that sort of thing. But as over the last couple of months and meetings with Greg, we've started talking long term in terms of what does the strategy that's being utilized today for Marde and I, what impact does that have on what happens in terms of providing for our daughter. And I'm happy to say we've got a grandchild, our first grandchild and only grandchild, on the way in December. With Solis, it didn't take very long for me to develop that level of comfort, that level of trusting the relationship, trusting the competence and the underlying performance that was going to come out of Solis. That almost seemed to be secondary as I got into this. I know it sounds strange for a guy who, is a kind of a bean counter kind of guy, but after a while it was, I'm in good hands here. And I think one of the things that struck me was when my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and our world was kind of flipped up on its head, upside down, that Greg and you and the rest of the team, stood beside us, prayed, and gave us comfort. And not many professional financial services groups do that. We can probably count them here in the valley on one hand, if that. But that's a story I can tell. And I think that's important.